We
are
We are
cultivate.
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 Cultivate. We are cultivate.
Hello and welcome to a special mini-sode of Yule Crime, the show where Maddie and I discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear every Wednesday. This special bi-weekly segment is called Can You Crack the Cramp-Word, which is slang for a difficult or obscure term, which I thought was very fitting. And joining me today are Dr. Lindsay and Chelsea from the So Fired podcast. And before we begin, I'd like to give them the opportunity to tell us a little more about themselves and their show before we get started.
Thank you so much for having us. Yay.
Yeah.
So I'm Dr. Lindsay.
And I'm Chelsea.
And we started So Fired because we worked together about 5 years ago. And we got fired together at the same time. And then that pushed us into pursuing our dreams. So every week on So Fired, we take shitty things and we turn them into pretty things. We share all of our issues because they're literally never ending. And then we laugh a lot along the way.
Nice. You have anything you want to add, Chelsea? Is that good?
She actually usually does have a lot of things
Oh
to
my gosh.
say and to add on. So I don't know
What's happening?
what's glitching. She's glitching at the moment.
No, I do have a tendency to dominate, so I was trying to be respectful, and you're going to regret asking me to jump in.
I know. I'm like, wow,
I'm gonna
I
be
got
like,
like 3 full
"And
sentences.
mute."
There will be a mute usage. Yeah, I was like, go on.
I know.
Lindsay
I
couldn't
usually
believe
never
she
get
was
that many
forced
words
to-
in at one
I
time.
know.
So thanks.
So fired up.
Welcome to our show.
So did you kind of answered my first question, I think, but did you meet at your job or had you known each other previously to working together?
No, we met at work, and I was the assistant chiropractor, and then Chelsea was the office manager, and work was just getting in the way of social time. And you could see our boss like peeking around the corner because we're giggling and we're laughing. We didn't get anything done. And I mean, I guess we did deserve to get fired, but
No one's ever asked that question.
Yeah.
Like, was it grounds? Were they justified?
they were just
100%.
Yeah.
We just make it sound like you're
Yeah, we make
wronged.
it sound like, oh, why did we get fired? But for real, we should have gotten fired.
Totally. I'm
Yeah.
surprised we weren't fired sooner.
I know, right?
That's hilarious.
So yeah, getting fired is awesome.
We're very good at it at this moment.
I have been fired a few times myself, and sometimes, I mean, it's like the best thing that could happen to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what, and that's every Wednesday. That's what we say. So we drop 2 episodes a week as well on Mondays and Thursdays, which we try and find the ugliest things and like, see, isn't this great? Mm-hmm. Getting fired is amazing.
It's the best.
Actually, it is a very specific skill set to know how to get fired. It's the first time I got fired. It was
is.
Niagara Falls, blubbering, please, desperate. Now I'm like, yeah, that's a really good call.
Yeah. Now I'm like scrolling through Instagram while they're firing me, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes
I'm not
sense.
that cool yet.
Mhm. Cool.
Nice.
I just picture you being like, are we done
Yes,
here?
yeah,
Okay,
100%.
cool. I'm going to go pack my desk. Peace out. Thanks.
Basically, that's why I didn't unpack my desk in the first place.
I wasn't sure this was going to be us for the long run.
You just card run a cardboard box to every job you go to. Do you want to unpack? No, I'm good.
Not yet.
No, not
I
yet.
just got a feeling. So on your show each week, you share what's got you so fired. Can you share what that means with our listeners?
I'll take this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Wait, which example should I use?
Whichever one you want to use.
That's not the answer I was looking for. Okay. So what we typically do is try and find something, if not ongoing, but like even the most obscure, something that will transpire during the week. For example, I don't know. And in which case it's like, geez, conventionally this may seem like a really miserable thing, right? But and this is how we're going to choose to see it in a positive light. What did we say last week? Oh, for example, last week was like, geez, I was kind of dreading an emotional meeting I was going to have with my mother. And originally, the time we agreed on was Sunday morning at 10:30, and I was just dreading it. And I realized I had to go to work. I hosted a restaurant, and customer service and hospitality, you have to be in the right headspace. And so I knew I
Yes.
was not going to be in the right headspace after having this like heavy conversation with my mother, in which case I was like, I could ask if I could meet with her after.
There you go.
Now, maybe
There you
somebody else
go.
would think that, but it's like, and she understands it. She gets it. She's in retail. And I was like, look, I need my headspace to be like in the right frame of mind for work. Is it okay if we
Mhm.
met afterwards? And that was my so fired. So, and it's actually teaching us to see things that way. So we're actually
Mhm.
conditioning our brains every
Mhm.
week and have been for the last 2 years, in which it's like, oh, well, and it's always fun to show those anecdotes with people. And now people actually come up to us and say, here's my so fired, which is like, whoa.
Whoa.
You're like, well, I'm sorry. What?
Just like, first of all, you listen. That usually gets me right there.
For some reason, I just pictured you guys like walking, drinking some coffee, and someone like falls out of a tree, and they're like, "Hey, I got a so fired for you," and you're just like, oh, "Okay, alrighty."
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I would probably push
We're gonna
Lindsay
cross the
towards-
street now.
I would push Lindsay towards the person. Walk.
You like moonwalk backwards and cross the street.
Got this? You good?
And I'd be like, oh my gosh, my so fired is that someone almost toppled me coming out of a tree. But then they had something amazing to say to us.
They're a listener.
Yeah, they're a listener.
You might see stalker. I see listener.
And then they just crawl back up the tree when they're done. You're just like,
Cue the active listener.
Yeah.
and you're like, "Okay, don't go past this tree anymore. That's fine." Life lesson.
Or you're like, where are they now? Oh.
You just start like making that trick all the time, like expecting them to come down. You're like, "Oh,
Paparazzis.
You just start talking very loud as you're walking close to the tree. "Oh, am I so fired this week? Have you heard?" And then you like get quiet and look around.
Wait for TMZ to show up and like, oh, I was just walking to the nail salon with my coffee. It's a funny thing. So fired.
I guess.
That's the dream, right? To just have people randomly fall out of trees and talk to you about your
Yeah,
show
I guess.
Yeah,
maybe.
that
think you're so cool.
I didn't know.
That's
I
how you
wanted
know
that
you've
for
made
them.
it. Or like, like tumble out of a bush or something and they're just like, "Hey." That's my dream apparently, because I'm just
I support that dream. I love that.
I'm just gravitating towards foliage and
I
people
do
just
like
falling
foliage.
out of or
It's springtime.
like hopping out of foliage.
It's springtime.
So last question. If you could have your dream job, what would it be and why?
I mean, this is it.
Literally, this
Yeah.
is it. We're just.
Podcasting is
yeah.
it.
Could you imagine getting paid to sit around and yuck it up with your best friend on the regular?
Ugh,
Like literally,
that's the dream.
it is in fact the dream.
Getting paid to travel and be on stages
And talk.
and talk.
Because somebody wants to hear what I have to say. I'm getting paid to talk. Kind of, because, growing up, I was like, I think I have smart things to say. And I swear I'm funny.
No one gave her a microphone until 2 years ago. And boy, does she have things to say. And I love every second of it.
We can't take it away from her. But I mean, like, we just enjoy each other's company so much.
Yeah,
Like, what
being-
you are witnessing is really just not only the magic of So Fire, but our relationship as a whole. And so I think we have a good time, and then we kind of radiate and hope that those either listening or joining us kind of have the same experience. And we don't really take anything seriously.
No. But we always say, we would love to, or you always say you want to leave people in a better, positive state than when
Oh yeah,
they
I do
first
say that.
came upon
Yeah,
you.
I say that.
So yeah, spreading some positivity through live performances, through podcasting, that's living the dream.
Yeah. So we're so close. We just
Mhm.
need them to pay our rent.
Yeah.
We just need the dollars to roll.
Yeah.
But what's
There you
your
go.
dream job, Lindsay?
I think the same thing. Being able to do what I'm doing right now, and have people pay me for it and want to come and see me in person and fall out of a tree and tell me how much they love historic true crime, and I'll be like, I love you too. And then I like moonwalk out of there because I'm socially awkward, and it'll be fine. And that's kind of, that's the dream I would love to have for myself.
That's
You
a
know
beautiful
what?
one.
Everyone's
Lindsay's
going
good
to
at
show
climbing
up.
trees.
Yeah.
And I'm good at attendance. I'm a big laugher.
Yeah.
So I will be laughing the loudest.
Yeah.
People
and
should pay to have me
people-
in their audience.
People
by
are
the way.
going to show up like dressed as trees now.
Oh, isn't
and they're
that
going to bring
cute?
you trees and like succulents. And it's going to be a whole thing where there's like sticks sticking out of people's heads.
Yeah. We
So
would
it's
dress
going to
up for
be
you.
a whole thing.
Yeah, like true fans would be like, they dress up, like Comic-Con.
Uh-huh.
Yours
Yep.
would be trees.
Yep.
Like bushes and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, fucked up leaves in their hair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like a murdered tree as well. Like a knife sticking out.
My sister would show up and be like, what the hell happened? What?
You're like, this is it.
I leave you alone for one episode, and then all of a sudden there's just trees and bushes everywhere,
so
and people are throwing succulents at the stage. I don't get it.
You're getting like spiked by spiky succulents. You're like, this one's thorny.
Maybe just set the cactus down. Don't throw them at me. I appreciate it, but also, can you not? I'm fragile. I bruise and bleed easily. It's a whole thing.
Same. That's why I'm behind the camera as much as possible.
It's interesting that I'm talking to you guys the same day that I talk to my therapist, because I swear I didn't plan it this way.
Yeah, we have that effect on people. I guess.
To knock it off.
But I was just like, as you're talking about how you're like, yeah, we take really shitty things, we put a positive spin on it. I was like, that's what I work through with my therapist, like all the time. And so I was like, all right, I'm down with that. I feel the vibes,
Yeah, it's like talking to your best friend who's the free therapist. That's the service we're
Mhm.
providing.
It is. But you know what? We are actually learning, on a serious note, we are learning how to do it individually. So what we do, we
Mhm.
identify it throughout the course of our day. It's like you always have a third ear or a third eye on the quest for content, right? Now you're
Mhm.
always like content gathering. And so it's
Mhm.
not like I'm pumped when something miserable happens, but I'm like, oh. So I have conditioned myself to start thinking. There was a one time, like, I actually called Lindsay. I was upset about something family related, naturally. And I was like, I don't have a so fired in this moment. She's like, you don't have to have one. So the practice of still identifying the thing, seeing if it applies. And I would say 9 times out of 10 so far, it has applied where I've been able to spin it. And it's like, okay, here's another alternative to seeing this problem. But there was that one time. And I needed to hear it from somebody else's mouth that it was okay, that this just really sucks.
Mhm.
And that is your therapy tip for the day.
And you're welcome.
There you go. I'll make sure people send some money your way for that therapy
Thank
tip.
you.
Thanks.
We charge
Finally.
$500 for that. For that
That one nugget of truth. Really? It's okay that it sucks.
For that little soundbite, just $500. Well, I don't have any more plant-related commentary or questions. So if you are ready for some slang terms,
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have arrived.
I'm pumped.
So I have Lindsay, you're going first.
Ooh, okay.
This is good. I'm glad you picked her. Performance.
She's like, yeah, I was gonna do Chelsea, but that's
she appears to have
no.
a performance anxiety.
So your first term is jug.
Wait.
Wait, jug?
And it's slang for something else. So it's not what you think it is.
Okay, but it's a spelling.
You're trying to
J-U-G.
Yeah, like a jug you would
Okay.
drink out of typically,
Okay.
but that's
But
not
that's not what it is. Okay.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna say a jug.
Travel back in time and think what you think it would be if you were to travel to like the
To
1800s.
the 1800s. Okay, I'd say a
Yeah.
jug in the 1800s is one of those like baby Bjorn carriers so that they can carry their babies around while they're like churning butter or whatever you do back then.
You just called a bunch of jugs.
You know, a jug for your jug
Yeah.
baby. So
That's how we got drug babies. They're hooked on jugs.
that's a new Dare program. That's
The original.
the original Dare. You guys, jugs are dangerous. Okay.
Is that not the answer?
Am I close?
You were close with the containment part.
Okay.
So, a jug was Victorian slang for a prison or a jail.
Oh.
Like juggalos.
Are you making up a word?
You know, all those dangerous clowns. It's just
I'm just doing
prison full of
just
clowns.
doing word association at this point. It's just say stupid shit. I don't know if it makes something funny.
I don't even know what juggalo.
You know, jail, juggalos. Makes perfect sense.
Insane film posse.
Oh, I thought they were gigolos.
Juggalos.
Oh.
Yeah, they're juggalos.
Oh wait, no, gigolo is like male entertainment, right?
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Beat it up.
This is a fun game, by the
Yeah.
way. You are on to something. This is a really good idea. All right.
Okay, well, I was
Whew.
not close at all. So
No one's gonna be close.
Maybe
This is
you'll
why a
have better
whole
luck.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's like
All right,
shooting fish in
Chelsea.
a barrel. No one is gonna ever guess the question right. You're like, this is like a carny game where it's rigged against you.
All the bottles are greased. You can't get
You're
any
never
of
gonna
the
get.
hoops on
And the
them.
ring you don't know is like oblong.
yeah.
Of course, it's never gonna make it out of the bottle. Because I'm like, "Rah, rah, rah."
That's what a gigolo does.
That's right. That's what happens in a gigolo. Juggalo. Jugs.
Ah.
Drugs.
Okay.
Whew.
All right. I want to hear what Chelsea's word is.
Okay. Chelsea, your first term is hoisting. Like HOIS.
I think you're hoisting with the pulley system to hoist something up. Hoist the sails.
So like a pulley system?
It's the verb of lifting something up. Like you're gonna hoist up the sail. Okay, we
Okay.
got that, right?
Yep.
Am I right?
In Victorian slang, hoisting means shoplifting,
Oh.
Cool.
Okay.
which I can see it because you're literally lifting something from somebody. Like whether that's their wallet or
I am more surprised that Okay,
I'm more surprised that there was shoplifting
Yeah,
in the 1800s.
that's exactly right. Okay,
Because
I mean, you've seen Oliver Twist, haven't you? I mean,
But
little street urchins stealing things.
I guess from the little vendors in their street shops.
mhm.
Mhm.
Can I have a new word?
Can I have another one?
Well, you each are getting two,
Okay,
so
Oh, okay.
I'm like,
Okay, I'm ready.
I didn't
All
say
right.
anything funny, so I'm gonna do it again.
Way to be so literal, Chelsea.
Yeah.
My God.
I'm a perfectionist. A sloppy perfectionist.
Put your jug head on. Like, just get there.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Lindsay, your second term is cat gut scraper.
Nice.
Oh. Cat gut scraper, but not in the literal sense.
Not in a literal
What
sense.
would it be
That'd be
in
horrifying.
a literal sense?
That you're scraping out a cat's guts.
You know,
Duh.
as one does.
Duh.
I'm gonna say, okay, you know, in modern times you have those little tiny mini spatulas you can scrape out the bottom of your makeup so you get every last drop. I think it's like old timey, like scraper, and you're getting out like the last butter. Again, I guess I'm feeling butter. Like
You just
I
love
do
butter
love butter.
churns.
I love butter, so I'm scraping out the butter from that like churning thing with the cat scrap.
Oh,
cat
maybe it's like
scraper.
the cat's tongue.
Like the cat's tongue is like getting off all
'Cause
like the
that's
final
scratchy.
butter particles. That's my guess.
Okay.
I like how
Okay.
Lindsay nods like, oh yeah, you're
I'm like,
real,
yeah,
real
that's
close.
what it is.
Yeah, but it's like,
I've been told I have a really good poker
yeah,
face
you
when
do,
I'm
because you're
doing
like, oh
this
my god, you
segment.
might be right. And so she's like, no, it's a laundry churning system. You're like,
It's actually like
It's a system of pulleys and
yeah, hoisting shit up. I'm dying to know, what is it?
So a cat gut scraper is actually a fiddler, and I'll explain why. So the strings that they would use for the fiddles used to be made out of cat guts, literally, like cat intestines. They would stretch and dry them out, and so that's why it's called a cat gut scraper.
Which one's a
Ooh.
fiddle?
a little tiny one. It's a violin.
The little tiny one. Yeah, it's like a little
yeah,
violin.
Isn't a fiddle and a violin the same thing? Just
Nope.
depending on how you play it.
Who knows?
I don't know.
I feel like we could ask somebody.
Now I
could.
need to Google that. Okay, Google.
Phone a friend
we
here.
need to know.
Wait, okay. So
I would've
aren't they
never
made of?
guessed
What are
that.
they made of now? Isn't it like horsehair? No,
Nylon string?
horsehair is what they use for the bow. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And wow, they used a lot of animals to play music. So
Yeah.
cat
They
gut
probably use the hide for
scraper.
a drum.
I don't understand how that works. I get cat guts. Oh, because you're
'Cause he's
scraping
the cat gut with the
Mm-hmm.
with the cheese.
Yep.
That's
wow.
It looks like a fiddle and a violin is the same thing.
Look at big
So
brain
that's
on Lindsay. over there.
Interchangeable.
Big eyeballs and big brains right in my right ear.
What are they made of?
Cat guts.
Okay, it's still the same thing. They are made from a variety of materials, including cat gut or sheep intestine.
No.
So it's not actual cat guts, it's sheep intestine, nylon, and steel.
Okay, I said nylon. I would never guess it was still made out of animal.
In this day and age,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. You would think that
I suppose it kind of depends on what type of
Interesting.
horrible person you are that you're like, I want mine to have
Maybe you
like,
don't even know,
actual
though.
animal
Ugh,
guts
I
on
want
it.
the cat one. Ugh.
Cat guts sound better.
Cat
It
gut
does.
scraper. You're a good cat gut scraper. Play me that tune.
Yeah. So does that mean, I suppose that means now then that it's actually a sheep intestine, because cat gut is slang for sheep intestine.
Mm.
So it's sheep intestine that they were scraping, which sounds even more lovely. So,
Oh,
It reminds me of like a tongue depressor, scraper.
poor sheep.
oh yeah, get all the bacteria off your tongue.
Wow.
Hmm.
I feel smarter now.
Yep.
Okay.
So Chelsea,
Yeah.
your second term is fambling chet.
I'm gonna say local idiot.
Oh. That sounds like a good one.
I had to say something definitively. First thing that came to mind.
Village idiot.
The village idiot. A fambling chet is a ring on one's hand.
You're the village idiot. 'Cause who you
And somewhere a cat gut scraper's like
Yeah, Lindsay.
playing the tiniest fiddle.
You're not single anymore.
You're who's the idiot now.
Oh.
Why is that the word? What's
the genesis of that?
yeah?
word?
What's the genesis of that word?
Let me look at
And
it.
how do you pick?
And
You
where
just-
do you find the words?
Yeah. And you're like, oh god, they're really gonna. So really, you're just trying to see how funny they could possibly be and say the most random things because no one's ever gonna get it.
I have like a document of Victorian slang terms that I will pick from, and then I just use like a random word generator to like pick who's gonna get what word. And I also have a book that's just like a dictionary of a bunch of slang terms from Australian penal colonies, which is
Specific.
I haven't dipped into that one yet, but
Very specific.
Who's got a big
Regional.
brain now? Go there,
Regional.
Lindsay.
you asked, so
I think it's fantastic.
I love this game.
Yeah, she would. You would.
What?
Lindsay won a spelling bee, so she thinks she's all thinking of it. In
Like, could you
fifth
please
grade.
give me the word in a sentence and origin so I can also
I
spell
really
it
think
for
she
you?
knows it. So when she punts and whiffs, it's real fun.
okay. So fambles are hands. So fambling is your hand, and the chet is the ring.
Oh, Chelsea was a
So
famble
the
model
ring-
back in the day.
I was a Famble model. Did you know that? Well, of course you didn't know that. We're telling you right now.
I didn't know that.
But look at those fambles. You can see why.
No, I'm just picturing you wearing that like glove thing from Zoolander
Yeah,
to keep your hand all like
Yeah.
preserved.
there are times at night before a show. Moisten up. Kind of like Silence of the
Just-
Lambs.
Just lube up your hands. Puts the lotion on the skin.
Which that's a different movie, but yeah, same thing. Sandlot. But yeah. Well, that is fascinating. nice time.
Well, I would like to thank Lindsay and Chelsea for joining me today for Can You Crack the Cramp-Word? And before we go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media and when new episodes of your show come out?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at So Fired Pod. And we have new episodes releasing on Mondays and Thursdays, and it is available wherever you get your podcasts.
The Thursday ones are the bonus ones, right? Where you answer people's questions. See, I did my research. I listened to some this morning. I know what I'm talking
That's really
about.
cool. We appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. But you did, and we love you for that.
She's like,
I was listening to it while I was walking my dog. I was
You
like,
aren't the first person to say
yeah,
that.
that's
Listen to us.
that's a very common time when people listen to us walking their dogs.
That's like the only free time I have to myself where I can listen to something and actually retain it. Otherwise, I write for a living, so I can't listen to people talking and write at the same time. It throws my brain off. And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay, and I'll see you next time with another tale as old as crime.